I've got it 6 o'clock. I don't, Russ is here, there's 4 of us here, but I don't see Austin and Carrie. David, I know David was coming. At the direction of the staff, should I wait a minute?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make some phone calls.
Okay. I mean, we have a quorum, but,
Yeah, a few more minutes.
okay. I have to put that in my minutes.
No. If anybody felt like numbering the pages, the Verizon, which I wish we had done for you, it might make it go a little faster. Just so there's only really 3 pages that I am smart enough to figure out what to talk about, and even that's limited.
But my conversation with you before was there was no action for us to take, was that correct?
Right, I wanted to tell you about it, but we'll wait till we get everyone here.
We've got Austin. I just need 2 more of you.
I want you to go to Zoom.
Oh, I can hear someone.
I'm working on David, we're having a technical issue there as well, so I will.
Okay.
Soon.
Okay.
Zoom.com.
Jenny, do you have Terry?
Don't see Terry.
You there?
Do you see Terry?
No.
Try again.
I think I've got pretty good at this, but you know, there's always something new.
You said it. You know, if you want to start at 6:05,
Okay.
it's a light agenda, maybe we had some,
Okay.
Try to go to another.
All right. So it's 6:05 according to my clock here. Is that right?
yes.
All right. So I'll call to order.
Wait, I'm sorry, is this recording? Yes, I think it is.
Yes, it
Okay,
was. That, we got that message at the beginning that it was being recorded.
thank you.
Okay, so at 6:05, I'll call to order the City of Gerhart Planning Commission. We have a, President are, Kitty Gideon and Russ Taggart and Stephanie Dudley and Sharon and Austin and, hopefully David and Carrie will be able to join us. So we have a consent agenda. Now, Carol, you said you were going to talk about Verizon, but it's included in the consent agenda, so we just go past it.
No, that shouldn't be under consent. Sorry, the correspondence should be over as a new category, I think.
Okay, so you don't want us to include the correspondence? No. Okay.
Let's take correspondence separately.
All right, okay. So we have a consent agenda just to consider the minutes and the financial report. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I moved it.
Thank you, Ross. Russ is moved, and Stephanie seconds it. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. All those opposed say nay. No. Okay. David is joining us now. All right. So, reports.
I'm sorry, can you go back to correspondence?
I thought you wanted to talk about the correspondence and the report.
Oh, well, either way, yeah.
Okay, you want me to go back to correspondence? Correspondence is a separate issue. We're just a little off here. So we have 2 pieces of correspondence, one from Bob Moore and one from Verizon. FYI, for those of you, RJ said he received the email from Bob Moore on August 20th. It is not dated. It's a good idea to date any of that correspondence so we know when it came in. So now, Carol, would you like to talk about it?
Like you said, this is an FYI. I just want to make sure that everybody comes to everybody's attention. And it does say in the first sentence from Bob Maury that he was going to send a clarification to the Planning Commission, Council, and staff similar to this email. And we didn't receive anything other than this email. So this is really just for you to read and understand, and let's, wait till the next step.
Okay.
And then, unless anybody has any questions about it,
Anyone have a question out there? I see shakes of head. Okay, and David signed. Okay.
So the second one is for your information, and it's a technical document that is from Verizon, who sent this off to the staff and said, do you have any comments or do you have any process for reviewing this? And the building inspector said, no, there's nothing from the building end other than, obviously they will need electrical permitting, but then maybe it would be from planning, and planning, as you know, we don't have any kind of site review. But I thought it would be useful for you to know, and there were some questions about these antenna in the original building construction. So here you have a request for some attached antennas, and I'm gonna page through 1, 2, 3, and 4. On page 4, as a site plan to show you where those attachments are proposed to be located. And it's pretty hard to read unless you have a computer to enlarge it, but that's actually the site plan. And then the next page 5 shows you the existing Verizon wireless antenna, and then the existing, so those are all existing antenna. And then I'd go 3 pages beyond, you see the facade of the building. That would be page 8, and those 2 illustrations show you the new Verizon wireless antennas. One on the chimney, and that's an existing one down there. Oh, existing. And I guess they're both on the chimney. Yeah. And then page 9 is the other illustration on the opposite side of the building.
Point of interest,
Yeah.
this data, what my career is now, sorry, but I look better off camera than on. I don't have a page 8. I go from 7 to 9. And 9 is interesting, it's like a line diagram. 7 is a detail of an antenna mount, which has nothing to do with camera connection.
Right.
And so my point of comment at this point is how are we supposed to make sense of this? And we can't even read it.
I know. Well, again, if you have these on your computer, you can enlarge it. Do you see plan sheet number A-5, which what I call page 8?
I don't have page 8.
Yeah, but you have page A5, David.
A5 and A6.
of A6, A7, and A9.
No A5.
A8.
Your question's a good one. Actually, this was, for your interest, David, because last time you were concerned about the attachments, I believe, on the building, and so this is just showing you some new ones. And I know it's hard to read, but they're little black boxes. I imagine, or at least on the illustration, they look dark. I doubt if anybody will notice them, but I'm just bringing them to your attention, as I said in the beginning. This is an FYI. If you have any concerns, let me know.
Yes, I have a concern because, with all due respect, if this was a submittal that my architectural plans had sought from a communications consultant, this would have been stamped and returned as revised and resubmit, because I can't read it and I don't understand what you're trying to say. I'm not an expert in anatomy installation, and it looks like you're trying to bury me in jargon. And that, to me, is a revise and resubmit.
I disagree. It's all plain to me, David, and it's all hidden in the chimneys, and the chimneys is where we wanted them when we approved the original plan 5 years ago, whenever it was.
But the chimneys are juicy.
We wanted them to be in the fake chimneys, but we wanted them to be in the chimneys because that area of town needs the Wi-Fi, and that was their concession.
They've added a large amount of sheet metal to those two chimneys, so they have been revised since we approved this. And so that's why I say I don't know what I'm looking at here compared to what was originally approved. And I don't think they should expect me to speak their language to understand this. With all due respect.
I disagree. I think we should approve it.
I disagree. I think we should revise and resubmit. More
We approved anything?
Sorry?
Mrs. Chairman?
As I understand, there was nothing for us to really approve. This was submitted, the building, your Mark, said that. Building inspector, the word for there, sorry, that, there would be the usual permits and everything that had to be done. And this is just for our information. So I understand what David's doing. It's also confusing to me, but I also understand that they were inside the chimney, and it looks like a lot of electrical and wiring stuff and that kind of thing, which not, I know how to plug in. Is there something we need to do, Carol? I look to you for direction.
Yeah, thank you. And I understand the confusion. This is maybe over the too much information, and I'm sorry if you can't read it. But we don't have site design review standards or require your approval. This was simply to keep you informed of what this change is, which I would say is minor, and I don't have any technical expertise to base any kind of recommendation on. I think it's quite technical, and it was just for you to know about, so when you see them up there, that's what they're doing.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
It's David. I've got my magnifying glass out. You can't tell because my camera's not working. It looks like an appurtenance, such as a chimney, is exempt from our height restrictions in any zone.
Yeah, so are antennas.
Is that correct? So antennas. What about shrouds? Are shrouds exempt from height limitations?
Are you talking about existing shrouds or new shrouds, or no? I'm sure our code doesn't mention shrouds, but those are
about top of existing antenna shroud at 45 feet 4 inches. which is well
No.
above the existing chimney or chimney appurtenance that we discussed earlier when this came before us earlier. So things have changed.
Are you saying that on A6, there's something new there besides the antenna?
On the lower drawing, proposed east elevation, on the lower drawing, on the very far right-hand side, that string of dimensions vertically says 45 feet 4 inches top of existing antenna shroud. That existing antenna shroud was added in the recent past. It's a sheet metal appurtenance.
Okay,
It was not part of the original sand trap construction that was apparently allowed as an chimney appurtenance. So now they're going even taller than they were before by calling it existing. And I don't know that it is existing. Aren't they adding more to do this? It's unclear to me.
Didn't you say, Carol, that this isn't for us to have anything to say about anyway? So
we don't have any, we don't have any standards to review this by, and maybe it isn't wise to even provide this, other than it was for information. So when you see things happening, that's what they're doing. We don't require site plan review for existing shroud on top of a chimney. So,
Respectfully, I'll terminate my comments by saying that it's a sad thing when jargon, huge plethora of details get in the way of any group making an educated decision on anything that comes before us. And I think that is, we're going to see that more and more as it comes along. So with that, I will end my comments, and I will advise that I would vote against approving this, if it comes to a vote.
Thank you, David. Thank you for your input. Anything else? And shall we move on to reports? We first have from the staff. Who would like to go first?
Chad, I'm trying to think if I have anything first. Go ahead, Chad.
Thank you, Madam President and Commissioners. Not a lot to report, although in the news of late has been a conversation about the November election for the fire station. That is in fact been put on hold as due to kind of some unforeseen circumstances. We were delayed from being able to submit the proper paperwork to the plan. And that delay was in form of an appeal that came from Jack Zimmerman and Harold Gable. The hearing was set for days after, the hearing for this appeal was set for days after the required submit date, so we weren't able to submit. Timing had something to do with it, for sure, both on the amount of work you're doing at the last moment to try to get all the information. It took some time, but as well as when the appeal was submitted, and how the judge's office handled the scheduling of this by scheduling it waiting on that date. So with all that being said, I'm going to make a recommendation to City Council that we continue to move forward and that we then go for the May plan action for this project. But just so you know, we did have a hearing date of the 9th, which was after the acceptable submittal period. And Attorney Peter Watson and I decided to go ahead and go through the hearing anyway. It was scheduled, and we wanted an opportunity to go through the process so that we could find out if there was anything that we needed to change on our description and ballot title, which is what the appeal was about, that we can do that. So we went through the hearing, Mr. Gable and Mr. Zimmerman were both there, and at the end of the hearing, once we presented our case, the judge said that they were going to go ahead and take a week to 2 weeks to reply with the decision, and so we'll be able to use that information moving forward. But I think that our ballot title was good. I think it was fair, and it'll be interesting to see how that comes out. So we'll wait and see. So in the meantime, we're just going to keep trying to do this. And if in fact this, by extending this out, potentially a year due to timing, every year this just gets a little bit more expensive. So that's something that we're going to have to figure out a way around or to deal with. But for now, things are going pretty well. Just a side note, right now the fire department is over last year's call rate by about 168 calls. So I'm anticipating that we'll be averaging this year, or probably accumulating about 650, 625 calls this year, which is a pretty big increase over last year. I took just more people living here. It was one of those issues. It's still seeing volunteers coming through. For just to kind of give you an idea, when I started my car about 24 years ago, we were just in the early 200 stage as far as the amount of calls that we go. But now things are just getting a little bit busier, and so the fire department's holding together pretty well. We've still got a good amount of volunteers, which is very helpful. Other than that, I'll save the rest for later. If there's any questions about that, I'd be happy to take them when appropriate. But that's all I have for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chad. Carol, did you think of anything you wanted to say?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Moving ahead. Commissioners, do you have any reports or concerns for us today? I see shaking of heads and silence, so, okay. Yes, David?
No
Okay,
concern.
David, then I'll get Sharon. Okay, yes. David?
I just want to make clear about something, Carol. So the Parks Committee is reworking their draft, is that correct?
Yes, I was going to give you just a brief update on when we get to the point where it's on the agenda. We're planning to postpone the hearing tonight, so I'll just give you a little update there.
Thank you.
Okay. And then, David, do you have something?
Nothing at this time, Jimmy.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. Goals list. Do we have, I didn't see it in here.
I didn't get a copy.
I didn't either, so that's,
No.
it's not in there.
Okay, all right. Just so we're clear, I didn't see it in here. So, if it's okay with the commissioners, we'll leave that till next month. Okay? Visitors' comments. If we have some visitors this evening, do any of them have comments to make that are not related to our agenda items?
Actually, I do maybe.
Well,
Tom, please.
hi. Tom, if you'd identify yourself, please, and give us your address.
Yes, Tom Teese, 292 Woodland Avenue, Gerhart. In listening to David earlier talk about the chimney, question is there actually a chimney there? Is there something that is exhausting from that? If there isn't, then it would be considered a facade, right? Or a shroud, and wouldn't that fall within height restrictions?
There's Tom, this is David, there is no smoke or exhaust fumes coming out of either of those chimneys that I can discern. To the plan,
Then-
my observation,
It would not be considered a chimney then.
would be strictly an appurtenance.
Right. And doesn't that fall under height restriction?
Let me ask, Carol for clarification. She's, getting some information here, I can tell.
Yeah, again, just to remind you, we don't have site design standards. My understanding is those were put up as both a design element and for the antenna. So whether or not it's functioning as a chimney is not an issue, and besides that, they're there.
So they aren't gonna add any more height to them or anything like that?
I don't believe so, Carol, I can answer that. There is no exhaust coming out of that chimney. It was designed from the start and also presented to us as being a shroud, for, I believe so, for being a shroud for the additional cellular service antennas. Another word for shroud can be used also, it's a protective device that goes around part of the antenna within that also deflects ground radiation. And so that might be what they're referring to, although I'm not for sure. But I do know that there hasn't been any height added to the original design, and their desire is to keep everything within it because they like the look of the neighborhood feel rather than having those antennas outside.
And I will add to that, Chad, the exceptions to building height, section 3.355, in the R3 zone, which is what that is, I believe. Projections such as chimneys, spires, domes, elevator shaft housings, towers, aerials, flagpoles, and other similar objects not used for human occupancy are not subject to the building height limitations of this ordinance. And the building height in the zone is 30 feet or 3 stories.
Okay, I understand then. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Yep, no problem.
Anyone else? Ron Morrison?
No, I'm just listening in. Thank you.
Oh, okay, awesome, you can do that. All right. Not having any other visitors' comments, we need to move on to the public hearing. So this seems a bit awkward to me, but at the staff's direction, the public hearing on Gearhart Parks and Recreation Master Plan, we will not have public input tonight. I need someone to propose a motion to continue draft master plan to October 14th, 2021.
So,
Thank you, Russ. Do I have a second?
David will second.
David will second.
And as long as, Mrs. Chairman, President, Sharon asked in between here before you vote, can I tell you why?
This would be an appropriate point for discussion, and yes.
Okay. As you recall, just a week or two ago, you were in the work session for the parks plan, and it's a long document with a lot of information, and some suggestions were made, and edits are needed, and some elaboration, and so on. And so it was going to have to be 2 days later that I had a staff report ready for you to, ahead of your hearing, for you to review. And the group, I don't know what the count was, but decided that that was rushed, and both the chairman and Chad and I are trying to set a meeting to sit down and go back through any comments and do some final work on the draft. Still a draft, but it's just as a follow-up to the work session. We needed more time than 2 days to get it ready.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Any other questions? Then we'll have the vote. All in favor of continuing the draft master plan public hearing to October 14, 2021, say aye.
Aye.
Or wave your hand. All those opposed, say no, or wave your hand, I guess. All right. So we will hear this on October 14th. We have no unfinished business. We have no new business. Do we have any other concerns of the commission?
May I pipe up again?
Sure, David.
I know you hate it, but I'm gonna. My understanding from the word on the street in Deerheart is that the planning commission has lost our secretary in Cheryl Lund. Is there any official word that Cheryl is missing in action or still aboard with the planning commission? She's a central figure in our commission with minute taking, notes, translation or transcription, budgeting, and miscellaneous things like that. And she has a huge institutional memory. So I'm very curious about what I've heard is that she may not still be with us. Is there any official word about that?
I can answer that if you'd like, David.
Sure.
So yes, Ms. Cheryl very much still with us. Earlier when we started the meeting, I said we had some technical issues. It was with her computer, so she's actually attending the meeting in the council chambers and viewing it now and taking notes and everything. And you are absolutely correct in her institutional knowledge has been amazing. She's been one of my best mentors, and she's taught me a lot through this. Word on the street, though, might be that Ms. Cheryl is getting ready to retire. I believe she's been with the city since 1972, 74. And she's ready to go on to the next phase, and she's giving us ample time to be able to make arrangements to not replace her. There won't be any of that, but at least to find somebody that loves the job as much as she has. So,
Okay.
so we're working on those plans. We're dearly going to miss Ms. Cheryl. She's listening to this now. But we have her here for a little bit longer.
If I may make a recommendation to Chairman Didier, or President Didier, is that Cheryl should probably be considered staff when it comes to reports. That her input for the planning commission is always relevant and always insightful. And maybe we should include her along with the city administrator and the city planner.
Yes, David, and I generally do. But you see, I see it says council chambers, and I don't see it says Cheryl. So I had no idea who council chambers was. So it was a little more difficult.
Well, that worked.
When we meet in person, I always look to Cheryl to see if she has anything to add, or usually in her case, correct, because I've got something wrong. So, yes, Cheryl has
I
been.
think the only one I've said anything to is
A
Sandy.
wonderful help.
Because for the last year, she's saying, when are you retiring? When are you retiring?
Oh, was that not supposed to let the cat out of the
Let's
bag?
hope
Was
that,
that not supposed to let the cat out of the bag?
I don't care.
that she
just
stays
move
with us
this
a little
along.
bit longer, but I understand retiring. So she seems very young to me, so.
Oh, God. It was 79, which is still a hell of a long
Anything
time.
else from anyone?
So I need to talk to you before you leave. I
If
mean,
not,
tonight.
it is 6:05. I adjourn the meeting, and thank you everyone for attending tonight. And, let's, meet next month on October 14th. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.